Hi, my name's Juliet, and today I'm going to talk to you about custom compile settings in Scrivener 3 for Windows for ebook files, specifically titles. I was going to do body text as well in the same video, but I fried my brain trying. So Han, who asked a question about this in the comments, that'll be coming in the next longer video, but some of what I say here will probably apply. Let's start with the manual. There are quite a number of pages about formatting section layouts in general, but for ebooks, this is all you get. The first option is the standard one, so we can ignore that. The second option, custom formatting. Here I want to highlight the words base text formatting, so clearly not everything. Now let's go to the final option, using editor formatting, which means what's on your typing page. But with the natural limitation that not all editor formatting is relevant to ebook publishing. In other words, ebook formatting is restricted. This doesn't surprise me. It has never been advised that you change the font in an ebook, because that screws up the settings for the reader. And these days there are all sorts of options they can have for changing font, text size and screen colour to suit their preferences. After all, these devices and apps are all about the reader. I have tried generating a ton of files to see if I could change the font in the headings, which I'm not going to bother showing you because there's nothing to see. Changing the font in the section layout changes it in the window, but it reverts to the standard font when the file is generated. Basically, you cannot change the font. But that doesn't mean that you cannot change things like bold, italics and alignment. Let's start with actually setting up a custom section layout style. If you click on a section type, you'll see a little edit icon. Click on that and you'll get a message that you need to duplicate the format and edit layout in order to edit. This is so that you don't override the standard settings in Scrivener. In other words, you won't break anything by doing this. This is lucky, as you'll find out later. A new screen opens up. Up the top you'll see a box called Format Name. This is where you give your format a name, obviously, but this doesn't work quite how you might imagine. You're not creating a new name for the individual section layout, you're creating a name for a new ebook format, which will appear in the left-hand column of the compile screen, and within this you can change any of the section layouts. Beneath the format name is Save To. You have two options here, Project Formats, which is for this project only, and My Formats, which will be available to all projects. The name of the layout that you're changing is bold within the Layout Name column. First select Text and Notes using custom formatting. If you click on the text, the items in the pull-down menus become available. You'll see a title style, fonts, bold, etc., alignments, colours, highlights and line spacing options. You may have to scroll along for these on a small screen. Now, let's change a few things in the editing window. Don't be tempted to fiddle with text styles. I'll explain why at the end of this video. And, as we already know, there's no point trying to change the font itself. Other things you can change in the main window are: under Title Options you can choose upper and lowercase settings. Under New Pages there is an option to choose how much space there is before the heading by increasing the padding, although on the page this doesn't seem to work. In Prefix and Suffix you can add text characters before and after your title text if you wish. This, of course, is standard text for all titles, so will usually be something decorative. You can, of course, add these in the editor too. Okay, let's compile what we've got. The layout I chose to change was only applied to the back matter. Of course, the chapter headings haven't changed, so you'd have to go into that layout and change them separately to make sure all the titles are consistent. Now we get to the warning part of this video. Do not be tempted to play around with editing text styles in the compile window. I thought this might be an easy way of changing titles. All seemed fine to start with. It worked. And then I closed my Scrivener file and opened it again. And this happened. I tried many things to work out what was going on, because deleting the code and reopening the file produced the same result. The conclusion I came to was it was the edited style that did it. I would not recommend doing this. Apart from that, time to go and play. It's not often you can mess around with the formatting of a document and not have to worry that it's going to screw everything up forever. You can always go back to the standard formatting and start again. I hope you found this useful. There may well be updates on this topic in the future as we all get used to Scrivener 3 for Windows. But for now, thanks for watching, and if you've subscribed, I'll see you again next time.